guys, it's your girl Maura T. Welcome back to my channel. The gospel versus the politics, politics versus the gospel. I give you politics and I give you a stance, a biblical stance on it. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, like, comment, and share with your friends, share on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. If you haven't followed me yet, follow me on all those platforms as well, because I constantly post videos as well on there. And today we're talking about activism, and let's go ahead and define what activism is. Activism is the policy or action of using vigorous campaigning to bring about political and social change. A doctrine or practice that emphasizes direct, vigorous action, especially in support or opposition to one side of a controversial issue. And there are different forms of activism, and let's get into the different forms of activism so that we can get into why there is activism, the history of activism, where it began, and the reason why it's happening, why we do what we do as activists as well, what an activist does, etc., etc. All right, so first form of activism is marches and protesting. Demonstrations and rallies are a common way to raise awareness and advocate for change. And for example, what's happening with this administration right now, today the president signed off on an executive order to demolish the Department of Education. And so therefore us activists are in the front line advocating and letting him know, number one, it's unconstitutional, and number two, the Department of Education is needed not because they are in charge of curriculum or anything of the sort, but they are in charge just as DEI is much needed, so that all people have equal opportunities to get an education and also get help to get educated. And with that, special needs kids get their special treatment, special conditions in their classrooms with tutoring, therapists, occupational therapists, speech therapists, etc. and etc. And that is what the Department of Education is for, and also for special educational loans, student loans, and stuff like that. That is what the Department of Education is in charge of. And today the president signed off on a executive order to demolish the Department of Education. And he wants to demolish a whole bunch of things, which is unconstitutional, because when something at a federal department was established, it was established by Congress. So therefore, not even the president, not even the executive department can demolish a federal department, period. So let's not get too much into that, but let's get back to what activism is and the different forms of activism, right? So the next form of activism is digital activism, using social media, online petitions, and other digital tools to mobilize support and raise awareness. What I am doing right now, educating you and giving you a little history, defining things for you, and bringing forth clarity, also with a biblical stance, so that you know that God is not for any of the foolery. Let's just be clear with that. So yeah, I just want that to be clear. And at the end, I will give you some Bible verses so that you guys have a real firm, clear stance as to knowing that God is not for any of the mess that this presidential administration is doing. Okay? So another form of activism is community organizing, right? Bringing people together to address local issues and work towards shared goals, and also to educate and give clarity on as to what's really happening, what's really going on, and how we could bring forth change. What is our position on the issue, and what is it that we're doing to bring forth change. Okay? Another form of activism is artistic activism, in the form of art, music, and other creative expressions to raise awareness and challenge injustice, right? Boycotts. Boycotting is refusing to buy products or services from companies that engage in unethical practices. Fundraising, raising money for causes that support social change. For example, affordable housing, affordable utilities, like the WIC program that provides help and services for prenatal care, like formula machines to be able to breastfeed, diapers, milk, all kinds of things, fruits, vegetables, cereal, juice, beans, peanut butter, that type of stuff. Also food banks, feeding the hungry, like, you know, what Feeding America does. All kinds of stuff. There's fundraising that needs to be done in order to be able to provide these services to the constituents, the people who are in need, preferably marginalized communities, correct? So also another form of activism is civil disobedience, and we see some of our representatives do that. We see activists like myself and many other people in different parts of the country who are doing that to, you know, be firm and stand with the people, so that it is understood that we do not agree with the foolery, okay? So civil disobedience is engaging in non-violent acts of resistance, such as sit-ins or blocking roads or challenging unjust laws or policies. Shareholder activism, it's engaging with companies to influence their policies and practices. For example, like Target, like Amazon. These are people who have shareholders that some of them agree, some of them don't agree, but we're here to give them the truth and where their money is going, and you know, what is the actual mission of the company, what they believe in, what is their goal, and things of the sort. Another one is environmental activism, taking action to protect the environment and promote sustainable practices. For example, we have many activists who work for this in particular, with scientists and architectural type situations, bioscientists, all kinds of stuff, so we can have clean water, so that we can have trees, grow more trees, all kinds of stuff, planting and crops and farming and all kinds of stuff in this area, so we can have clean air, so that basically all that in a nutshell, that is what environmental activism is. Making sure that transportation is good and properly equipped, like buses and taxis and stuff like that, and that things are accessible as well, you know, as to crops and milk and all kinds of stuff, and those are the different types of activism, right? What is an activist? What is an activist? An activist is somebody who has their hands and feet in the mud. Hands and feet in the situation, voicing, petitioning, calling out representatives, government officials, speaking at different events, and just getting the word out there in every shape, way, and form, digitally, outside with flyers, pamphlets, all kinds of stuff. That's what activists do. So an activist is a person who campaigns to bring about political or social change. Amen. Now, there are 4 types of activists, and let me tell you. So based on the framework of the 4 roles of social activism, right, which is 1, there are 4 types of activism. The 4 roles of social activism by Bill Moyer. The 4 types of activists are helpers, change agents, rebels, and advocates and reformers. Those are the 4 types of activists, right? So helpers, these activists focus on empowering individuals and communities by providing resources, skills, and support to help address their own problems. So I play all 4 roles, honestly, right? And so basically all 4 roles is what I do, right? Because I engage and do all this with different organizations and even my own, right? So yes, I engage in all. I play all four roles, right, in different organizations. Change agents. These activists aim to organize and mobilize people to create systematic change by educating the public and fostering participation in social movements. So basically, I also do that. I advocate and I am an activist for the Black and Brown and immigrant community. So I educate on history, on Latino, Hispanic, and Black history. I also inform and educate on laws, policies, regulations, and any changes of thereof, right? I also help fill out applications, direct them to resources, and whichever area they need help in, and I answer all questions that are needed to be answered. Bring clarity, point blank, right? Rebels. These activists challenge the status quo through direct action and nonviolent resistance, often targeting power structures and institutions. So basically, I do that also. Resistance with many companies who have taken off DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, who feel that they don't need it, and they basically do it based on this targeted racism mission, which I explained in 2 videos ago, that is happening with this administration. Currently, there is, and let's just be clear, there is a targeted racism mission that is happening and occurring, and beneath all that, there's money in the midst of it, right? Because there's money with allies, with anti-allies, with allies that are not even our allies but have become allies, etc. and etc. There's land, power, and money involved, and they're throwing us under the bus. We're in the midst of this, and we have nothing to do with it. So basically, that's what's going on. And so then, this is what has to happen. We have to, be resistant, show some type of resistance with all these companies who have money that they are getting paid, but at the same token want us to buy from them, and also want to take away programs that are in place for their benefit. Okay? For their benefit, because that's what DEI is there for all of us to have an opportunity to be able to get employment in different areas and different departments and different things. It's there also to be educated, to know and have clarity of different backgrounds and etc. and so on. Advocates and reformers. These activists work within the existing system to advocate for policy changes and reforms, often through lobbying, legal action, and working with elected officials. So I know quite a few representatives from here in Florida, Miss Frederica, Miss Anna, Miss Nelson. I know a lot. Even in my city, I do work along with them through different organizations and stuff like that, by signing petitions that are important to sign, by also having my name on different things, voicing and speaking and engaging with the community. I think it's very important as a Christian activist. If you are Christian, just know, and I continue to repeat, you are an activist and you are an advocate. And if you love thy neighbor, and you say you love thy neighbor, then you believe strongly in what the word says, to take care of the foreigner, to feed the hungry, to clothe the naked, to house the homeless, etc., etc. All those things cannot be neglected if you are a Christian. Okay, for those who think, well, I'll just pray for them, or what are you doing beyond praying? Because we're supposed to give resources and help place somebody in a home. We're supposed to be the person, the instrument that God uses, the voice that God uses to be able to engage with these people who are hungry, lost, hopeless, homeless, who are in need, and give them the resources, direct them in the right direction to be able to get the help that they need. Okay, there's no neglecting them, no ignoring them, because you wouldn't want anybody to ignore you or neglect you when you need your rent paid, when you need your light bill and water paid, when you need food, groceries in the refrigerator, etc., etc. I think it's highly important that we understand that, and we start doing more. If you are Christian and you agree with this administration with abolishing the Department of Education, with messing with Social Security, SNAP benefits, Medicaid, Medicare, listen, we should have affordable health care, if not free health care, like many other countries have. Everybody deserves to be treated with kindness, love, and should be able to have access to health care, to food, to affordable housing, etc., etc. Nobody is exempt, should not be exempt or excluded. God looks at all of us, loves all of us, and he does not want not one of us to go hungry or be homeless or be without. So let's just be clear on that. So some synonyms for activism are activism: involvement, action, force, exertion, effort, struggle, campaigning. Those are some synonyms of activism. Is activism a good thing? It absolutely is necessary. It's a good thing. It's absolutely a good thing. Some people say it's not necessary, but it's necessary, because then we wouldn't have representatives, congressmen, congresswomen, women, activists who advocating out here for what you need, like free library, SNAP benefits, affordable housing, utilities. All that stuff was created because there was all these forms of activism happening, campaigning, petitioning, voicing, resisting, boycotting, all kinds of stuff. This is the sole reason why we have what we have, and this administration wants to take it away, and it's a no-go because it's unconstitutional, and it's not Christian, and it's not godly. God is not pleased with any of that. Let's just be clear. And let's go through some, let me just go through some Bible verses. You know what I'm saying? Let's just go through some Bible verses that has to do with advocacy. You know what I'm saying? First Deuteronomy. Let's read this. Deuteronomy 16, number 1. Firstly, Deuteronomy 16:20, right? It says, follow justice and justice alone, so that you may live and possess the land the Lord your God is giving you. Deuteronomy 27:19, curses anyone who withholds justice from the foreigner, the fatherless, or the widow. Then all the people shall say, Amen. Let's see what else. Psalm 56, it says, and the heavens proclaim his righteousness, for he is a God of justice. And who is proclaiming the gospel? Who is proclaiming his righteousness? We are. We're standing in the gap, and we're the ones that are preaching the gospel. We're the ones that are activists. We're here. If you are a Christian and you're only solely a Christian inside the four walls of your church, and you're not outside in your community, and you're not advocating for, for free utilities, for resources that your community is in need of, affordable housing, groceries, etc., for the marginalized, for the less fortunate, for the abandoned, for the homeless, for the hungry. If you're not advocating in your community, if you're not a part of any organization that provides these type of services, then what are you doing saying that you are a Christian? Like, if you're not doing something, and God did not call you just to be in the four walls, go into the four walls to be with like-minded people and to get fed so that we can impact a people. You know what I'm saying? Like, Proverbs 29:7, the righteous care about justice for the poor, but the wicked have no such concern. I'm going to read it again. Proverbs 29:7. The righteous care about justice for the poor, but the wicked have no such concern. Hello. Proverbs 31:8-9. It says, speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, for the rights of all who are destitute. Speak up and judge fairly. Defend the rights of the poor and the needy. And that's Proverbs 31:8-9. What else? I have a lot of them. Amos 5:24. But let justice roll on like a river, righteousness like a never failing stream. Hello. Yeah. Well, you know what? Advocacy. Matthew 10:42. It says, and if anyone gives even a cup of cold water to one of these little ones who is my disciple, truly I tell you, this is Jesus speaking, right? That person will certainly not lose their reward. Matthew 25:40, the king will reply, truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. Jesus himself said that, right? So anything that we do for anybody, we're doing it as if unto the Lord. That's another Bible verse. You know what I'm saying? And then just wanted to read straight out the Bible that advocacy and activism exists because Jesus existed. Jesus came and he died on the cross for all of us, for all of our transgressions, for all of our sins, right? And so therefore, Jesus walked this earth from village to village, and he did miracles. He did miraculous things. You know what I'm saying? He healed the blind. He healed the sick. You know what I mean? Rose Lazarus from the grave. All kinds of stuff, right? And so therefore, we know that if if we're thinking about, I don't wanna, you know what I'm saying, you're gonna have to think about Jesus. Jesus was an activist, right? He was an advocate. He the living water. Jesus, the Messiah. He came and in the form of man and walked this earth and fulfilled his mission. And so therefore, if Jesus wants us to be a reflection of his Father, then we have to do as Jesus did, right? I'm just saying. It's a little bit Bible, you know what I'm saying? Okay, I'll put the I know I haven't written in the description a lot of stuff in all my videos. I'm gonna go back this weekend and do so you guys can have, definitions and resources, links, and also Bible verses, so you guys can go back and read them yourselves, or you can just go through the video again and read through the video and stuff like that. But man, I exhort you, to get up and do, because there's so much need in this world, and God called us not just to preach the gospel, but to be a vessel, an instrument that he uses, and where he places us, the positions that he has placed you is for you to do, not just to preach the gospel, not just to pray for people, but to direct them to the resources in which they are in need of. You know what I'm saying? So I think we're clear as to what activism is, right? Activism encompasses various actions aimed at social, political, and environmental change, including demonstrations, protests, strikes, boycotts, online campaigns, civil disobedience, and art activism, among others. I just want to briefly go over it. Being an activist means that you're being a helper, you're being an advocate, you're being you're being a rebel and a change agent. You're being a reformer. You're coming in and making a change by voicing for the voiceless. And I wanted to get into the definition and speak about activism and what an activist does, because this is what I do. I know a lot of people have a lot of questions because they see me in action and they question, well, what really Mauda doing? You know what I'm saying? Well, a lot of people already know what I do because they see me when I'm doing it, or other people let them know what I'm doing, what I did, etc., etc. This is not easy, but I feel like that God has placed me where he has placed me, and I'm a team player and I do what I do. Sometimes I'm leading and sometimes I'm in the back seat, and it's good. I'm good. As long as I'm doing God's will and bringing change, that's the most important thing to me. And so I tell you today to stand up, stand firm on the rock that's Jesus Christ. No fear, because this administration and people who are out there that don't believe in loving thy neighbor, they just say they're Christian, but they're not really behaving as a Christian. And I'm not saying this to be like, oh, you have to be perfect. I'm not perfect. I have many faults, things that I have to grow and mature and do to be a better person every single day. But that doesn't mean that we don't some way, shape, or form represent Christ, right? And what he did and continue his legacy. And so I suggest that if you don't know, read into it. Google is free. You know what I'm saying? Get into your word, research things by specifics, right? Activism, advocate, go into your Bible. You're gonna find many Bible verses that will give you many examples as to, activism and advocacy, etc., etc. So you'll know that what's true and clear, right? Unfortunately, we're going through what we're going through, so I just want to leave you with a little encouragement. Do not allow nobody, not one racist person, not one person who agrees with this administration, to put fear in you, to scare you. Let me tell you something. Takedown season is in process. I just want that to be clear as well. Takedown season is in process. Okay, let's just be clear. Whatever you seeing on the news, just remember there's censorship. They're censoring a lot of news, a lot of things that are really happening. Whoever is out there on social media stating that the Democrats are not doing nothing, let's just be clear, something's cooking in the pot. Takedown season is in full effect, is in process. So don't be scared out here. If you're a Christian activist and you're a believer of Jesus Christ, don't let nobody put no fear or scare you, because let me tell you, like I said in the event over the this past Wednesday, I ain't never scared. Okay, so yeah, guys, thank you for coming to my channel. Please subscribe, like, comment, and share, and check me out live on TikTok soon. I'll let you know when I'll be on TikTok live. Check me out then. Check out my videos there. I'll see you in the next video.